So I thought I'd do a video on my 3D printed gear. So I'll just go around and show you what I've got. This is the standard filament. It's 1.75 millimeters. This is actually glow in the dark stuff. You get different colors, red, yellow, and this is just normal masking tape that you use for painting, and that's what you put on your aluminium bed so it sticks to it. And here's some of the things that I've actually printed out here. So you can see here, here's one of my GoPro cases, and you can see it's got the layered lens provisions in it, and it sits on a bit of an angle, and it's got some holes in it for some cable ties to put it on. I've done these in a couple of different colours. I've done the black, and I've also done the yellow. I made this one a little bit bigger for one of these 4K cameras. It's slightly bigger camera, and you can in 3D Builder scale up these dimensions so that you can actually fit stuff in on your for your builds. This here is a standard session mount. You can get all different angles for this. And this guy here is the Mobius mount. I kind of quite like this guy because it's big and bulky, but it's quite good how it's actually turned out. Sits on an angle, got plenty of provisions to bolt down, and of course your Mobius just sits in there. This is one I made as a prototype, and it's not for a camera that I've got. It's I don't know what the camera is, but I put it in some acetone to see whether I could get rid of the lines on it, and it didn't work. But what it did, it made it very very flexible. So if you have a look at that as compared to the normal PLA, it's not very flexible, but when you put it in the acetone, it does make it fairly soft. And that was done yesterday, and all I did here was stick it in a container and put a hole in it, put some napkins in there, put some acetone in, drill a little hole in the top, put a hook in there, and hung it in there. So if we keep coming a look around, this is a fan nozzle that I made from a 3D printer, and haven't put it on yet, but that's the nozzle for it. So what I've made is a couple of these different colours GoPro mounts, and of course the Session sits on there, and that's the cover for the front. So the standard one, you'll notice, that's the standard one that I copied off Thingiverse, and that's the standard mount. So what I've done is I've scaled them up to make them slightly larger for the, I don't know whether you can see that there, but slightly larger for the bolt holes to fit my frame. So you can actually, in 3D Builder, you can extend it out this way and height and do whatever you want. So if you already know what your bolt hole centers are, you can make it to suit. So that's a green one, and that's what I flew this morning. Just had a bit of an issue when I actually made, we'll put these little cylinders on the side of it. My original one that I did, my first try, I put them in the center, so you can see they're in the center there. And what I did is I decided to move it forward to give myself a little bit more tension in the elastic band, and I made this one too far, so it started printing this area, and then it stepped up, and then it made all this crazy feature here. But I kind of don't mind it anyway. It's there to protect, not to look good. So yeah, so that's basically the first prototype, and then that was my modification in black, and then I did the green, high-vis green, and then I did the green one, and then I modified the cylinder back to the right level and did this one today. I've actually made this guy here for someone over in the States if he wants it. This is for JC, and if he wants it, happy to ship it out to him and pay the cost. I've offered that to him. And a couple of other things that I've made here is this. Now all this does is actually mounts on your antenna. If you want to put that on your antenna there to keep your antenna at 90 degrees, and you've got provisions for a cable tie on each side. This is something that I experimented with yesterday. I changed colours and went from green to orange, and that is a cap for that. So that's what that does. And these, this is a little tool for your motor to hang on to your motor there, so when you change props, and it's got written in there 2205, and again you can modify that to suit. I've made some little spanners. This was the size that came off Thingiverse, and I've upped it to that size. I should put them in order. So that's about 7mm, that's 8mm, and that's 9mm, and they're just a little skull. And again here you can see where I've swapped from the orange to the blue. This here is a little mount for a camera, and they're those tiny little FPV cameras. You can sit it in on the angle there, and the lens sits out the front, and you can hold it on with a strap and then screw it into your frame if you so desire. This here is a little, this here is a little camera frame and antenna protector. So that's the first one I made. It was a little bit small, so I had to enlarge it, and basically that's what it looks like there with my little Elite camera. So what I do with this is when I make a new model, a new quadcopter or plane, rather than put all the FPV gear on it before I take it out for a fly, I just whack this on to see how it flies. And the reason I record a lot of my videos is so I can actually see how the thing's performing in the air. It's amazing when you watch your videos back later, just how much you actually see of the copter's performance. So that's that for that, and I've got a couple of those. So this here was just a little, get it around the right way, this is a little Rotorite symbol, and I don't know it's what it was meant for, but I just made that as a bit of a prototype. These here I made, these, when you buy your spools of your PLA, that's how big the hole is, and on my 3D printer all they give you is a piece of threaded rod which is that big, so the thing's pretty sloppy. So I've made these, they just sit on the inside of the spool and just keep it nice and central. And these little clips here that I made, these little clips just slide over and just hold that in place. And just hold that in place like so. So a couple of different colours there, but I've got probably about 8 of these. They just hold it all in place. So, and I actually made the support bracket to actually suspend the spool of the filament over the top, so it just feeds directly straight down on top of the back into the 3D printer. This here is a little box. It needs to be made a little bit bigger, but it's for all your SD cards, so you're supposed to get that and put that on the top. And we basically then come back to our rat straps, and these are the rat straps. You can buy these online, that's the length of them. You can buy them in all different colours. I've got these colours, I've got orange, I've got white, green, and they come in a strip of, I think they come in a strip of 5, and they're about $1. And you can see here that's what I use for to hold my cameras on. And these ones here, you can see I've got the elastic band to hold the cover on, so to hold the GoPro in place so it doesn't eject out. And you can see this one here's just got a normal strap on it, but this guy here has got the rat straps on for the battery holder, because they're nice and flexible and they do hang on tight and they are very strong. So that's a bit of an insight into my 3D printing life. If anyone wants anything 3D printed, give me a yell and I'll see what I can do for you. But it's all good fun. It does take a while to print, so if you're looking at something like this, you're looking at about 3 hours to print that. You're looking at about 3 hours to print that. To print that, it was around about an hour. To print that was around about, I think that was around about 45 minutes. And to print those, they were about an hour each. And these take 20 minutes to print. So they do take a little bit of time. It is a fairly slow process, but having said that, just set it up, all good fun, and that's what you can actually, it's what you can achieve. That's the gear.